World 2019 in San Diego, and in this video I want to share with you my top 3 takeaways when it comes to what's working right now in the world of online video strategies for 2019. So keep watching. G'day, I'm Ben Amos from Engage Video Marketing, and I'm here to help you engage your ideal audience to action through online video strategy. Now this is my first YouTube live, so hopefully, technically, everything works out okay. If you are watching live, thanks for joining me. If you're watching on the replay, no problems. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below what you think of this format and whether it's something that I need to do more of. So thanks for joining me as well. So as I mentioned, last week I returned from Social Media Marketing World 2019 in San Diego, and it was an amazing conference. Can't wait to get back there again. It was my first time at the conference, but importantly, I think what it allowed me to do is to connect with people who I've made relationships with over the years, face to face. So there's nothing better than coming together and reconnecting with people who you otherwise only know in the digital world or in social media spaces. So to be able to shake hands and share a drink with some of those people was awesome. But the second most important thing about attending the conference was being able to learn from some of the best in the world of digital marketing, social media marketing, and in particular, in my particular interest, who are doing some of the best work around online video content and video strategy. So in this episode, I want to share with you guys my top 3 takeaways about what's working right now in the world of online video strategy. So Social Media Marketing World is a massive conference, and the opening keynote was by a guy called Mike Stelzner, who's the founder and CEO of Social Media Examiner, the guys who put on the conference. And in his opening keynote, I guess the main takeaway was he said that in 2019, he really feels that bigger is not better than being better. So let me explain. He talked about vanity metrics, the idea of, trying to get as many views as you can on something or as many followers or subscribers on something is not how to win in 2019. And the quote was this: making a big impact on a smaller number of people is more important than making a small impact on many people. And I just love this because what this tells me is that when it comes to particularly video strategy, if we can find our audience and engage our audience in the right way using video to actually make an impact on the right people, then we're going to be much more effective in actually making change, right? And that's the goal of video, is to actually move people to take some sort of action, to make some sort of change. So the goal here is to understand that it's not about getting as many views as you can on a particular video. So thinking about which platform you're going to use is really important, because that will determine the reach and engagement that you're going to get, but ensuring that the platform that you're going to use for your video is actually aligned to the audience that you want to connect with. So the opening keynote by Mike Stelzner had a lot of really interesting things to bring on this. So my first takeaway here was that you need to go where the attention is when it comes to your online video strategy. And there's 3 things that came out of this opening keynote by Mike Stelzner. He talked about where the attention is today is, number 1, stories, Instagram stories, Facebook stories, even YouTube stories to an extent there, Snapchat stories. And number 2, live video. Attention particularly on Facebook, is live video is where you get that engagement and interaction and commenting and building that community. And Facebook has been really open over the last 12 months of coming out to say that their goal is not about connecting as many people to as many other people as possible. Their goal is encouraging meaningful conversations between people. And this is why they've put a focus on groups in particular and live video, because that's where meaningful interactions take place. You don't passively watch a live video when you're watching live. You're actively engaged in a conversation. So live video is super important when it comes to Facebook. And the third takeaway there in go where the attention is YouTube. Okay, so YouTube, particularly for longer form content, is really winning winning the game here. So if you remember back a few years ago, Facebook, particularly when they launched Facebook Watch, actually seemed to be trying to take on YouTube. Now, I feel that they've lost that battle. They're not going to take on YouTube. YouTube is not going anywhere, and it is as critically an important part to a video strategy. So Facebook is now focused much more on that kind of content that's going to engage meaningful conversation, and I think they're going to be moving more into video within groups, so that's where live video plays into it, and video to build community, whereas YouTube, although community is a big part of YouTube, YouTube is more about that longer form content, that evergreen content that's going to last on the platform for a long time. So there was a particular example that Mike Stelzner shared within his opening keynote, and he talked about how Facebook is changing the way that they're focusing their growth on their platform. And he used an example which was taken in October 2018, where Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook was quoted as saying that they want to move from a feed-only world to a feed plus stories world. Now, this is really interesting because the focus here with Facebook, who also owns Instagram, their focus on encouraging more engagement with stories in particular is really interesting. So they're actually deliberately shifting from being focused on just being a feed-only platform to really focusing on feed plus stories. So when it comes to Instagram and Facebook, this is where you need to be focusing your attention. So Facebook Live, Instagram Live, and YouTube Live, they're the kind of platforms that when it comes to live video are really going to cut through. And when it comes to Facebook Live, we need to remember as well that this is part of the Instagram platform. So you need to be, or probably not so much like thinking of them as the same platforms, but thinking about the strategy as being very similar. So when it comes to Facebook and Instagram Live, the goal is really to be creating content that connects with community, to build those relationships, to encourage those conversations. Whereas YouTube Live is more about creating content in a way that's going to share value to people, responding to people's search queries, responding to conversation that or questions that people have, not so much conversations, but questions that people are having. So YouTube Live, and I'm using YouTube Live now, as I mentioned, for the first time, experimenting with YouTube Live, and it's going to be part of my strategy for engaged video marketing moving forward as well. So Stelzner, in his opening keynote, he quoted some statistics, some data that's being gathered by the social media marketing survey that Social Media Examiner do every year. Now, they haven't released all the information or all the details of this survey yet, but the stats that came out in this keynote were that when it comes to video, only 38% of marketers currently are regularly using Instagram stories. So we can see there's a real possibility there to cut through and to be one of those relatively early adopters when it comes to using Instagram stories for business. And only 49% of marketers are regularly using live video. So again, there's still so much opportunity there for people to cut through more on live video. And he mentioned that 57% of marketers currently are using regularly using YouTube. Okay, so only 57% are regularly using YouTube. So again, there's so much possibility to really cut through there using video strategically for a brand or business. So that was the opening keynote. So my key takeaway there was really to focus your video strategy on where the attention is, okay? Not just to apply video across all platforms in the same way. Remembering the differences between Facebook and YouTube are very specific, and Mark Zuckerberg specifically has come out and talked about how the focus of Facebook is changing, and it's not really in competition to YouTube anymore. So that's probably my number one takeaway there. Now, moving on, my second takeaway was all around LinkedIn. So let me know, are you using LinkedIn yet? I'd love to know in the comments if you can reach out to me as well. Or if you're listening to the podcast, I'd love for you to tweet me at engage_Ben and let me know what sort of activity you're doing on LinkedIn, particularly when it comes to video. So LinkedIn video is still really under-indexed. It's underutilized, and it's something that you can really cut through on and get a lot more success if you start experimenting with LinkedIn now. Be one of the early adopters to LinkedIn video. So LinkedIn actually introduced native video in September 2017. And one of the really interesting sessions I attended at Social Media Marketing World was by Goldie Chan, who's one of the top video influencers working with LinkedIn. So Goldie had a lot to share about the power of LinkedIn video, particularly in the B2B space. So she said she shared some specific statistics about LinkedIn in 2019, and I want to share some of them with you now. She mentioned that there's 565 million global users of LinkedIn as of 2019, and 70% of all those users are outside of the US. So it's not just a US-based platform. I think that wouldn't come as any surprise to us who aren't based in the US. 40% of users are daily users of LinkedIn. So that's a number that's growing, okay? In the past, where people maybe check their LinkedIn profile once every so often, now people are becoming daily users of LinkedIn. 57% of all LinkedIn traffic is mobile, okay? That's across the board. Most platforms are becoming mobile first, and that's absolutely true with LinkedIn. And it's the most used social media platform for Fortune 500 companies. So absolutely so much potential for getting real business results, capitalizing on LinkedIn and LinkedIn video strategy. 270% more effective at generating leads than Facebook and Twitter. Okay, so that's a outstanding statistic, that LinkedIn is 270% more effective at generating leads than Facebook and Twitter. And this is specifically in the B2B space. However, LinkedIn is not just about B2B, okay? LinkedIn can still have value in B2C or business to consumer type businesses, but clearly it is a B2B focused platform. And particularly interesting for me is that LinkedIn Live is now in beta testing. So there are a number of people throughout the world who have early access to LinkedIn Live, and I'm really excited to see what happens when LinkedIn Live rolls out, and hopefully throughout the later half of 2019, I should be able to get access to LinkedIn Live and start experimenting with that as well. So definitely watch this space. I'm super interested to see what's going to happen with LinkedIn Live. So that was my takeaway number 2, was consider LinkedIn Live as part of your strategy, particularly if you're focused in the B2B space. So moving on now to my takeaway number 3, and it has to do with exactly this. Now, if you're listening on the Engage Video Marketing podcast, because I'm going to be taking this audio from this YouTube live stream here and turning it into a podcast episode, if you're listening to the audio, then I'd love for you to head on over to Engage Video Marketing on YouTube and check out this live stream as well. And make sure you click subscribe over there and click that little bell icon to be notified when I go live, because YouTube Live is something that I'm really interested in exploring a lot further in 2019. Now, I attended a session by Sean Cannell. Now, Sean Cannell's from Think Media he's based in Las Vegas, but he spoke about the power of YouTube Live, particularly as a content strategy. And it really resonated with me because as a video producer and a content creator, where I particularly struggle is in being consistent with YouTube content, because I need to apply a lot of production quality. I feel I need to apply a lot of production quality to my YouTube content. Now, when it comes to YouTube Live, production quality is kind of taken out the window. Now, obviously, I can use a high quality camera here. I can make sure the audio is good and set some lights up. but without having to do any post-production or editing. By using YouTube Live, I'm able to, hopefully, my plan is to be more consistent in my YouTube channel by providing value to my audience, educating, informing, and inspiring people who are watching you guys, and to actually do so on a much more consistent basis. So here's my little experiment. I'm going to be rolling out YouTube Live content. Hopefully, my plan is on a weekly basis, okay? Sometimes these videos will be short teaching videos, which will be, sharing 1 or 2 quick tips around video strategy. And other times there might be longer videos or live streaming of a podcast recording like I'm doing right now. Okay, so if you aren't listening to the Engage Video Marketing podcast, I'd love for you to head over to engagevideomarketing.com/iTunes and make sure to subscribe to the podcast. However, if you are watching here on YouTube Live or on YouTube on the replay, I'd love for you to leave me a comment and let me know if this works for you. So watch this space, because YouTube Live is something that I feel is the benefit here is rapid content creation, the ability to get YouTube content out there with a purpose, providing value to the audience, and to do so quickly and consistently. So that's where I'm going to leave you today. They were my 3 top takeaways from Social Media Marketing World 2019 in San Diego. I can't wait to get back to the conference again, hopefully next year. I'm not committed to it yet, but it's a long way to go from Australia, but I can't wait to get back there again very soon and to share more with you. And that's it for today's episode. So thanks for watching, or thanks for listening on the podcast. And if you can, leave me a comment and let me know if you've enjoyed this episode. I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram at @engage_Ben, or on YouTube, search Engage Video Marketing, and you'll be able to find me there. And of course, the podcast, engagevideomarketing.com/podcast. So until next week, I'm Ben Amos from Engage Video Marketing, and I'm here to help you engage your ideal audience to action through effective online video strategy. Bye for now.